When you're starting seeds, you might wonder, what kind of soil should I use? The best medium for starting seeds may not be soil at all. In this video, you'll find out why and what to use instead. Hi, I'm Amy Landers with GardensThatMatter.com, where we believe your garden is the key to better food, a better life, and a better planet. In this video, we're going to look specifically at the best options to use when you're filling your seedling trays or your recycled containers where you're growing out starts or seedlings to transplant into your garden later. The materials you use for this can make or break your gardening efforts. Now, if you're new to gardening and you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all the choices, trying to sort out, should I start seeds inside? Should I direct sow in the ground? Should I buy seedlings from a local nursery? I would love to help you cut through that confusion. Inside the membership, we have a class designed specifically to help you start your first garden. I'll include a link to that down below. It really helps you make all those decisions with ease. To get us started picking a material for starting seeds, let's revisit what seeds require to grow. Seeds need water. Absorbing moisture is a key step in kicking off germination. Seeds also need air, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Very few seeds could survive being submerged in water. They need aeration and drainage. Some seeds need special conditions like light or darkness or cold period. Some seeds even need to be exposed to fire and smoke or digested by an animal. So we can mimic that by soaking or scratching or nicking our seeds. And so your seed packs will have this information if you have special needs for your seeds, or a quick search using the term germination and the name of your plant. But the basic requirements are water and air. And so we know that our soil mix needs to hold moisture and allow for airflow. And that's going to get us off to a great start for the majority of the seeds out there. Now you might wonder, doesn't my seed need plant food? Nope. When a seed is sprouting, it doesn't need any external fertilizer or nutrients. Everything it needs is packaged up inside. It has its own food. Now, after the plant has emerged and it has its first full set of leaves and it starts doing photosynthesis, then it will need some mineral nutrients to build the cells as it grows. But for the beginning, in a seed starting mix, that fertilizer is optional. And so if you got a mix without any fertilizer in it, you could always provide it by using liquid fertilizer, watering it with liquid fertilizer, or lots of people will pot their little seed. They'll start the seedling in a seed mix and then pot it up into a nutrient-rich mix as the seedlings grow. So why not just use garden soil? There are three main reasons your garden soil could be problematic for starting seeds. Number one, depending on your soil's texture, it could have too much or too little drainage. In sandy soils that don't hold a lot of water, your seedlings might dry out and die. In clay soils, you might have problems with rot. Plus, seed trays full of heavy clay soil are hard to carry around. It's a lot of work. The second reason that soil can be problematic is that soil can contain pathogens that are going to cause problems, like the fungi that cause damping off, which is a disease that basically causes your seedlings to flop over and die. Now, don't get me wrong, usually we want our soil to be full of fungi and bacteria and other microscopic organisms. Plants have symbiotic win-win relationships with these soil microbes. And so a healthy living soil really is what makes your garden thrive. However, when you're focused on starting seeds in a closed system, like with seed trays, under lights, inside, you're going to have better results if you start with a growing medium that's closer to sterile. Third, soil may have decaying organic matter, like bits of leaves and roots, and this decomposition process can produce organic acids that actually inhibit germination. This is also why you want to be cautious about using homemade compost in your soil mix, because that compost, if it's not finished or mature, could lower your germination rates. So those are some of the risks around using soil and homemade compost in your seed starting mix. It's definitely possible to use them, and we actually do sometimes use soil and finished compost in our mixes. However, if you're new to seed starting, or if you are counting on the crops and you want to minimize risk, you're going to have the best results from a professional soilless growing mix. Now it's time to pick a growing mix. The garden centers are full of an overwhelming number of choices in colorful bags full of their marketing messages. I'm the best! Pick me, choose me, take me home! Woo! Here is how I recommend picking one. First, you want to think about if you're focused mainly on seeds or if you want to grow seedlings and larger plants in containers for an extended period of time. You can purchase specialized seed starting mix that has a finer texture. It's really easy for the little roots to move through this fine textured material. However, you can also purchase a coarser growing mix that's going to work for both seeds and larger plants. And that may give you a little bit more mileage for your purchase. So if you do a coarser mix, you're just going to use a sifter, like a kid's sifter, or you could make one with the smallest hardware cloth, like a 1/4-inch hardware cloth, and that will help you sift out the large chunks and make it easier to start your seeds in it. All right, next, when you're picking this growing mix, you want to think about how anytime you use potting mix, you're importing materials into your home, into your yard, and those materials have to be harvested or mined from somewhere. They've got to be processed, they've got to be bagged, they've got to be shipped. So growing mix does have an environmental footprint. So you can lessen this by looking for local sources. Your local garden or greenhouse supply store is a great place to check. You can also see if your composting company in town, maybe one that collects green waste from groceries and restaurants and landscapers, they might make a mix. And as composting pros, they will have fully mature finished compost, so no worries about those decomposition issues that we talked about earlier. Next, when you're buying a mix, I encourage you to go organic. If a bagged mix is where you land, you can look for an OMRI label, O-M-R-I, OMRI, and this means it's been approved for use in certified organic operations. This is a shortcut to help you avoid potentially problematic ingredients. Now, in these professional growing mixes, you're usually going to find two main ingredients: a fibrous organic material to hold moisture and a rocky material for airflow. The fibrous organic material might be peat, it could be coconut coir or rice hulls or composted bark or a combination of those. This fibrous material is going to be lightweight, it doesn't break down very easily, it's like a stable organic matter, and it can absorb moisture like a sponge. For our rocky material, most mixes are going to contain perlite, vermiculite, or coarse sand. So these materials have lots of space, and so a lot of them are porous or they have airspace in them or around them, so that there's room for air and water to move. So they're going to provide that aeration and drainage that we're looking for. Now, there are valid concerns about the ecological impact of mining peat moss and perlite and vermiculite. They're not renewable resources. Same goes for processing coconut coir. Even though it's a waste product from coconut products, it still requires processing and bagging and shipping. And so there's a sustainability aspect that you can go into to try to figure out the best options. But that is content for a future video, or maybe an infographic. In the meantime, for more garden goodness and access to our growing community, come on over to gardensthatmatter.com. Until I see you again, happy gardening!